Let's go to the Middle East. The death toll in Gaza has now surpassed 200, including dozens of children, as the region experiences its worst fighting since 2014. The Israeli army has carried out a pre-dawn bombardment, and that happened on Monday, using 110 rockets to attack about 35 targets. And it claims much of the assault was aimed at underground tunnels used by Hamas. The UN says more than 52,000 Palestinians have been displaced, and Amnesty International suggests some Israeli airstrikes may amount to war crimes. Let's go live now to Tel Aviv. Fox News reporter Greg Palcott joins us. Greg, thanks so much for your time. We've seen US intervention in the last couple of days, the global community urging a ceasefire. Any signs of that?
Laura, we're seeing a lot of talk about a ceasefire, but the reality seems to be far, far away. We'll give you a recap first of what the fighting on the ground was like. We saw it both ways. We were down, for example, in the central Israeli town of Ashdod today, and just within about an hour period, we witnessed about a dozen rockets from the Hamas militant group in Gaza raining down on the city of about 200,000. In fact, the rockets hit various locations in southern and central Israel. And in the other direction, we had Israel once again staging another strong day of airstrikes against Gaza targets. And they're mainly, Laura, the militant strongholds, the Hamas and Islamic Jihad networks, the tunnels that they use. So it was back and forth today. And to compound problems for the authorities here and to complicate the issue, we saw today clashes all across the West Bank, East Jerusalem, even in Israel, Palestinians staging strikes, protesting in support of their brethren, their sometimes relatives in Gaza. So you had those three things happening, and then the talk of ceasefire. A lot of reports tonight. One said that Hamas was maybe willing to give it up on Thursday if Israel would stop as well. Israel officials, sources saying that perhaps in 2 or 3 days they will have done enough damage to Hamas for them to stop it. A lot of denials and no confirmations, Laura.
Yeah, indeed, and it is very hard at the moment to get any official confirmation or information out of either party. We've heard Israel in the last couple of days, Greg, say once Hamas stops firing rockets, well, it will stop firing back. But what is happening there in that part of the world at the moment? Is there skirmishes that take place intermittently? Are there hours where nothing occurs and then all of a sudden it erupts again?
Well, it's a good point, Laura. There was a pause this morning, our time here, for much-needed aid to get into Gaza. At 2 different crossings, the Israelis allowed this aid to get in. I think you were describing it as a desperate situation in Gaza. Power short, water short, food short, medicine short. And so that was, for a couple of hours at least, there was a pause on both sides. But according to the Israelis, the Hamas group sent in some more mortars in that same period. One hit a soldier, injured a soldier. They closed down the crossings again. Now, the humanitarian situation is the thing that's really bringing this to a head, and that's why we're seeing the UN, European Union foreign ministers, our own Secretary of State Blinken, even President Biden now getting off the fence and urging Israel to consider a ceasefire, and also U.S. diplomats and other international diplomats from Egypt and other neighboring countries have been in touch with the Palestinians as well. But still, no answer yet tonight, and we're in the early mornings of this week.
It is. It's very early indeed. So we thank you especially for your time, Greg Palcott. Appreciate it.